My lovers, welcome to my channel. My name is Made for Love, and welcome to another reading. I do have a channeled song for you to play today, and I do have a message to deliver before the actual reading. Now, the actual reading, as I said, I'm just playing around with different readings right now, just to change things up, because I don't want to get into a stuck routine where we become boring. It's like a relationship. You have to spice things up a little bit. So we're going to take a break from our usual programming and just delve into several different other things, okay? Just keep life interesting. And yeah, I have a message for you today. And it's about the narcissistic cult family. Now, this message may not be for you personally or for your personal situation. So it may not be related to your family, but I'm getting very deeply that it might be related to your love family, and it's going to help you understand your love a little better. And even if it doesn't relate to your love family, there's someone in your life that it's going to resonate for. I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that. In addition to delivering this message, there's a video that I'm going to post that I want you guys to persevere and watch, because I really do believe I only picked out key points about what she was saying, because that video was literally haunting me. It kept showing up on my YouTube feed, showing up on my YouTube feed, showing up. And then I finally said, okay, I'm going to watch it. I don't know how it pertains to me, but I'm going to watch it. And when I did, I was so enlightened. I think you're going to have a better understanding of your love and where they come from after you watch that video. But I pulled out the key points in case you don't have time, and I'm going to discuss that a little bit, and then I'm going to take it a little further and show you how it plays into your soul connection, okay? But before we get into that, I do have a channel message, and the channel message does go with this message about the narcissistic cult family, right? Well, I tied it in. They probably gave me for another reason, because it's called Change Gonna Come. Now, I only know the first line of this song. I've never heard the song in its entirety. I recognize the first line from all those civil rights movements, but I've never heard the song in its entirety. But for some reason, I've zoomed in on the lyrics that talk about, I went to my mother and they knocked me down. I went to my brother and they knocked me down. And it really tied into that thing about a narcissistic cult family, where it's like every man for himself, right? There is no love and support. And they grew up in that environment where there's no nourishment like that. Okay, so that's what I zoomed into, but there's probably another message here relating to the karmic relationship, that change is coming to that dynamic. So I'm going to play that for you now, whilst I shuffle the cards that I'm going to use, and then I have to deliver the message, okay? All right, let's see. Was it forward or backward? Oh, we're going to find out. And this is a Jennifer Hudson version. Again, never heard her singing it. All right, so you're gonna listen to that, and you can also listen, get the lyrics. All right, let me shuffle in the meantime. I think I'm only using 2 decks today. Yeah, you can tell I listen to it a lot, right? Oh my God, I've got goosebumps already. They've been running.
Brother.
Listen, Jennifer Hudson has to be one of the most underrated singers. I mean, she is just powerful. Anyway, all right, let me get into that message for you now. All right, let me get into that message. So what this person was doing when I watched that video, they were showing that nexus between the cult culture, what happens in a literal cult, like a religious cult, but what the alignment was with a narcissistic family. So she basically said, in a cult, when you go in the cult, they first encourage you to be very vulnerable. They love bomb you. They let you know, really make a clean breast of it, tell all your little secrets or whatever, and then they use your vulnerability against you, right? So let's imagine that happening now in a family where people encourage you to be vulnerable and then use your vulnerabilities against you. So what do you learn from that? You learn not to be vulnerable at all, which is one of the things that you need in order to have a good and healthy love relationship. So there we are, we want them to be vulnerable, but they have learned from their origins that vulnerability is exposing yourself to abuse, to being betrayed. So it's like a big, massive conflict that's happening in their heart and in their head. It's a battle between what they've learned before and then what they're thinking of trusting now, right? Then, the cult, they create dependency because they want you to be codependent on them. So what does a person growing up in a narcissistic family, what do? They learn to be codependent on other people, and then what do they recreate in their adult relationships? The same codependency. So you're trying to figure out why they're staying in a toxic codependent side. That's what they've learned. That's all they know. And then she talks about they discourage individuation, that being your individual self or your authentic self, and they discourage boundaries, right? So she talked about all that happening in the cult, and then she now translated it to the narcissistic family. So she says in a narcissistic family, there's always a head narcissist that people learn to worship and respect. Okay? So if your love is with a narcissist, know that from their foundation, they've learned to respect and they've learned to worship a narcissist, and this is what they're going to recreate in their love relationships. So if you examine your love relationships, they have always been in a love relationship with a narcissist, most likely someone they had to overgive to, and they learn to love and respect that person and worship that person, always doing extra things in order to get validation from that person, no matter how much that person hurt them. They're always giving them gifts. They're always being loving. They're always being loyal to that person because that is what they learned in their foundation. They learn to love abuse. Because remember, they're worshiping this head narcissist. So whatever this head narcissist has been doing, it is correct. And if it's correct, then I'm to accept that. So even when the head narcissist might be incredibly abusive, even sexually abusive or physically abusive, they learn to love and worship that. They begin to think that that is their right. To be abused and to worship their abuser. Okay? Then they talk about the image of the narcissistic family is protected over the well-being of the individuals in it. So what your person learned to do from childhood, they learn to conform. They learn to put their needs aside for the well-being of the family unit, for the well-being of others. Because the other part of the narcissistic family is that the image of the family is protected against at all costs. So if something has happened to you, you've been abused by the head narcissist or whatever it is, it doesn't make any sense speaking out or speaking your truth, because the image of the narcissistic family is going to be protected. You are going to be made the scapegoat. You are going to be made to look like a liar. So what does this person do? They stop speaking their truth. They stop being their authentic self, and they amalgamate themselves into this alternative reality that the narcissistic family makes, which comes to the other point. The narcissistic family, they live in a alternate reality of their own that everyone is expected to subscribe to. So they're doing things that are clearly against the norm, but it's become so inculcated and may have been inculcated through generations that everybody thinks it's acceptable. For instance, we have a big problem in Trinidad and Tobago, especially in the southern part of Trinidad and Tobago and in the central areas, where there's a lot of incest. Like, fathers believe it's their right to have that experience with their children in certain groups, and in certain they've narrowed down to certain ethnic groups in the central area, right? They believe it's their right, and it's been passed down like from generation to generation, and nobody says anything about it. It's like acceptable. Nobody says anything about it. This whole secret is kept. Everybody keeps the secret, and nobody says anything about it. And if you, the victim, speak out against it, then there's something wrong with you. They're a liar. You're made the scapegoat. Okay? Then, so they all subscribe to this totally distorted reality. Now, there's also something else that happens where boundaries are discouraged. Now, we know boundaries are healthy to protect your own sovereignty so that you can be your individual self, but no, boundaries are discouraged. Everybody is all up in your business. There is no privacy. The narcissistic family infiltrates even your social and friend groups. And what they do there is that they mine or gather information about you. So what does this person learn to do? Don't disclose any information to anyone, because the family is going to find it out, because not even your friends can be trusted. So your person grows up in an environment where they can't even trust their close friends. And there we are trying to expect them to be vulnerable, trying to expect them to trust us. But they've learned that everybody is going to be infiltrated by the narcissistic family, and any information that they disclose to anyone is going to be found out. So they clam up. They don't tell the truth. They learn to be pathological liars. They learn to suppress their true self and their true feelings. Then we have, a lot of rug sweeping, where people sweep issues under the carpet. And then we have spiritual and religious abuse, like the head narcissist or the abuser. They do some really outrageous things and say it's in the name of God, or spirit guided them to do a particular thing, or it's their divine right, that kind of stuff. So there's all of these dynamics taking place. So what you grow up in what your person grows up in, or what you might have grown up in, is a family where you can't trust anyone. You learn to worship abusers. You're codependent on everyone. You have no individual self or individual identity. And you're unsupported. You're unsupported. So it's like you don't know when the next weird thing is going to happen. You don't know when next somebody is going to betray a trust. So you're always in that fight mode. And even when it comes to your relationships, you're expecting people to betray you all the time. Because if you can't trust your family, then who can you trust? You can't trust anyone. So they're always there expecting people to betray them. So their guard is always up. And maybe that's what you experience with your love, or what you yourself have been doing. Because remember, if this is your love, you vibrated and attracted someone very much like yourself. So even if all of this doesn't pertain to you, some of this might pertain to you. And then we have that dynamic of, wanting to trust, but knowing from experience you can't trust. And that conflict within, it rages, and it creates a kind of dysfunctional relationship. So I'm hoping that, I'm going to put the video below. I just pulled out key points. She had a lot more to say, right? But I'm hoping that makes you more aware of what either you or your love went through, and what it now brings to your intimate relationships. Okay? Anyway, so let's go into this karmic reading today. It's going to be slightly different. I'm trying something different. We're going to look at how do their people, that's your person, how do their people view the karmic? So we know what they think about you. We're going to see how are they viewing the karmic. Okay. So what do they think about the karmic generally? Your person's people. What do they think about the karmic generally? And then we get into individual people. Okay. So, first card we have is Pioneer. Passion for doing and creating what has not been done before. So they see your karmic as a kind of trailblazer, a go-getter, maybe very inventive, creative, a leader. The karmic might be even a visionary. Could be someone very spiritual as well. Maybe they get downloads from spirit. We have here child wounded. So what I'm getting from this, even before reading, this karmic has a lot of inner wounding from childhood that they're carrying around, and we shouldn't be surprised at that, because your person has a lot of inner wounding from childhood that they're carrying around, and we vibrate and we attract whatever we are to ourselves, right? So it says here, blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds, resists moving on through forgiveness. So this karmic that we are tapping into, they have a lot of wounding from childhood. Okay, maybe they've never felt protected, maybe they've never felt loved, and they are holding on to this. This has become part of their identity. So they've been manifesting dysfunctional relationships all their life. They know it's linked to childhood, but instead of healing, they're using it as a crutch for their bad behavior. And your person's people are picking up on this. They're realizing that this person is just using what happened to them in the past as a scapegoat for bad behavior. We have trickster in reverse, manipulating others through duplicity. So on a whole, your person's people think that this karmic, very manipulative, very much a liar, maybe a pathological liar. They're seeing that they're like a magician, pulling things out of their hat to create their own reality. So what I'm getting here, and I'm getting why I went down that road with this narcissistic family this morning. Because it's not only going to shed light on you if you went through that. It's not going to tell you about your person's family, but it's also telling you about your karmic's family. Yeah, because they are your karmic. They're teaching you a lesson too, you know. You didn't know that? Yeah, your person's karmic is teaching you a lesson too. They're teaching you how to love yourself. Oh, you didn't know that, right? We are all karmics for each other. We are all teaching each other a lesson. You are teaching your karmic a lesson too, you know that. You are teaching her how to love herself. You are teaching him how to love themselves. Yeah. Because they are in a situation where their person that they're with loves someone else. You are teaching them how to love themselves enough to remove themselves from that situation and find someone who can love them the way they deserve to be loved. But first you are teaching them how to love themselves enough to release a relationship that is toxic and codependent. So you are teaching them lessons, they are teaching you lessons, and they're teaching your person lessons. And the first lesson that you guys are teaching each other is how to love yourself enough to remove yourself from a toxic cycle. So you've removed yourself from this toxic cycle by setting your boundaries. It's now for these other two people that we're tapping into to break that cycle now. You've broken that cycle by stepping back. It's now for these two to learn to love themselves. Okay? So we are all teaching each other lessons. Yeah. So your person vibrated and attracted someone just like themselves to themselves. Maybe that's why they might understand each other so well. Yeah, we have here rebel in reverse. What we have here? Rejects legitimate authority out of anger. Rebels out of peer pressure or fashion. So this is someone ready for war, just like what we just spoke about. Ready for war. So even when someone tells them something at work that may make total sense because it came from an authority figure, they're not going to accept it. Okay? They're just rebelling against any kind of authority. Maybe they had some kind of oppressive existence or an oppressive childhood, and any kind of authority, even legitimate authority, rouses them to anger. Okay? So even in their relationship with your person, right? If your person just gives them a little feedback that they may not like, then they switch to anger, because whether it's a critique or bit of feedback, is perceived as an attack, because this person is like, and this person and your person, they're like, they have PTSD. They're waiting for the next attack all the time because they grew up in that hostile environment. They've now recreated it in their intimate relationship. So they're always waiting for that attack. So when there's even a smidgen of feedback or anybody trying to exert their boundary, it's an attack. Okay? Then we have here advocate in reverse. What's this? Embracing negative causes or committing to causes for personal gain. So you know what I'm getting from this immediately? People are realizing, bam, this is why the karmic is here in a relationship with your person, because it's for personal gain. They're recognizing that it has nothing to do with the green of the heart space, but it has to do with the green of the money. And your person's people, they're realizing that. They're coming out of that. They're seeing the karmic for who they really are inside. Or maybe I shouldn't say who they really are inside, but certainly the personality that they've evolved into to protect the wounded child within. Remember, these people, they are just people that are hurting, that's all. They're people that are hurting. But whereas you are focusing on your healing, they're focusing on using their pain and their hurt as an excuse for bad behavior. You know, we like to think of them as other, but the thing is, we are all connected. We have destroyer, releasing what is potentially destructive, preparing for a new life. So what I'm getting here is just what I was telling you guys before. People are realizing that this karmic is a lesson in your person's life, that they came into your person's life to teach a particular thing, and at some point they're going to move on. It's like the people are seeing that the karmic is slowly distancing themselves from the relationship and preparing for something new. They're seeing that the karmic came to destroy or help destroy a particular pattern, maybe in their social group or their family group, or assist your person in doing that. By helping your person see themselves. Let's get one more. What else are your person's people thinking about this karmic? We have mentor in reverse. Inability to allow the student to move on to the role of master, imparting false instruction. So what I'm getting here, this person, they take people under their wing not to mentor them, because it's in reverse, it's a shadow aspect, but in order to create a codependent tie so that this person will never leave, so that this person will never launch. And that's what people are seeing with this karmic here. The karmic has created a codependent tie with your person that they can't easily extricate themselves from. So they may be dependent on them for finances, dependent on them for narcissistic supply, right? Narc supply, and different things. There might even be a child involved here, and maybe they use that child as the binding agent between them. And then we have your Martha, learning the transcendent nature of service to oneself or cause. So what I'm seeing is this person, they're moving into a state of enlightenment. They, just like your person, has been getting a lot of intuitive hits about themselves and about this relationship that they're in. This person might also be of service in the community. So people see that about them. They help people. Maybe they're very connected to spirit as well, and people see that. But what I'm getting here, the other message I'm getting here is that this person, this karmic, they're also waking up. They're waking up. They're waking up to this toxicity. They're waking up to the codependency inherent in this relationship. They're waking up. So it looks like everybody's waking up here. People are smelling the coffee. Okay. All right. What does the dad or male influential figure in your person's life think about the karmic? What does your person's dad or male influential figure in your person's life think about the karmic? The first card we got was the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. So the dad or male influential figure think that the karmic is not putting in the effort, or at least not putting in the equal effort as your person, especially when it comes to finances. They're also not putting in the effort to heal themselves or to better themselves. They're just rocking back and expecting your person to do everything. We have two seemingly conflicting energies here, but I don't see them as conflicting. We have the Knight of Swords, which is someone that rushes in with the truth, but harsh truth. And then we have the King of Swords, someone who is not being their authentic self, someone who's ruthless, someone who's mean. So what I'm getting from these two is that the karmic, the dad is seeing the karmic as someone who is very ruthless with their words. So they may speak the truth. They may speak the truth, although we didn't get that. They may speak the truth. Okay, let me get this card first. They may speak the truth, but whatever truth they're going to speak is usually very harsh, very criticizing, very harsh. They don't take the time out to give a loving feedback to your person. Whatever comes to their mind, they say it, right? That's Gemini energy here, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn energy here. And then the Father sees them as his King of Swords. Now the King of Swords, ruthless, mean, not authentic, can't speak their truth. You see how my throat just closed up? Can't speak their truth. Now the King of Swords upright is a diplomat. So reverse, this is someone just saying things to hurt other people, right? And then finally, the dad or male influential figure thinks that the karmic is not total wish fulfillment. We have this 9 of Cups in reverse. So they think, this ain't the one. And they also see the karmic as very codependent on your person as well. Very clingy and needy. What does the extended family, especially the cousins, think about the karmic? So it seems like someone's mask is coming off, at least to the dad anyway. The dad has seen something really interesting with this karmic. Okay. So the extended family or the cousin think that this karmic is a burden. They see this karmic as a burden, as a responsibility that your person is refusing to release, because we have 10 of Wands in reverse. So that's someone who's overwhelmed, who's burdened, but not being able to release this responsibility. And that's how they see their karmic. And they think that your person is not releasing this burden because there might be a child involved here. There's a child involved. They may also see the karmic as very childish, or leveraging the child in order to get money. They may also see the karmic as someone abundant in the material world, or if you notice his eyes, I've never noticed the face of the person here today. If you notice him today, he's kind of money hungry, right? His eyes are on the pentacles. This is how they see the karmic, as money hungry, counting every dime. Counting every dime. The eyes are always on the prize, and the prize is money. Money, jewelry, living that good life. And they see the karmic as unawakened and not being able to go within itself and see themselves for who they really are. There's someone that's unhealed, just walking around doing damage. Someone who's not able to go within and really find that enlightenment. So they see the karmic as unenlightened. So we have here Leo, Sagittarius, Aries energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. And then we have Virgo here. What does the karmic's work husband or work wife think about the karmic? I'm getting a weird message with that first card. That is a weird message. The work husband or work wife is seeing that karmic as the Queen of Wands, which is sexy, powerful, go-getter. So for some of you, this karmic is having a relationship with their work wife or work husband. Because this is a weird card to see a work colleague in. Okay? So for some of them, that work husband or work wife, they're having some kind of relationship with them, or they're very sexually attracted to the karmic. But they see the karmic as unenlightened, inflexible, not being able to see or appreciate different sides of an argument or different perspectives on a particular thing. Very fixed in their ideas about life and how things should be done. They also see the karmic as this King of Cups reverse. Now, the King of Cups reverse is someone who's very manipulative, very harsh, very controlling, and emotionally immature. And that's how they're seeing the karmic. They're also seeing the karmic as the Sun reversed. The Sun reversed, the Sun talks about vitality, masculine energy, being empowered, being optimistic, and they're the exact opposite. They're the kind of the glass is half empty kind of person, very pessimistic. It's like when this person walks into the office, it's like a dark cloud has entered. They might be very controlling and domineering. What else am I getting from this card? Just a kind of a low energy, low vibrational person, right? Maybe in the workspace, the karmic is kind of considered like a pariah, like an outcast, because we have this 5 of coins in reverse, but they try their darnest to inculcate themselves with other people. So they want to come out of that energy, so they will do anything to be accepted by the group. They kind of try too hard, and that's because people can feel their energy. Energy can't lie. People feel their energy, and they don't want to have anything to do with them. Okay, if your person has children, or maybe they have nieces and nephews, what do these children think about the karmic? What do the children think about the karmic? We see that the children thinks that she's so independent, beautiful, and abundant. Someone who's able to stand on her own, very authoritative, very passionate here with this King of Wands energy, very much a go-getter. They may think, they're very handsome, very beautiful, very vital, and very either motherly or fatherly, because the King of Wands, he's a parent. So very motherly or fatherly, but even the children see that there's something unenlightened or dark about this person. We have here this Hermit in reverse, that they're not enlightened. Now then we got a weird card for the kids, Lovers in reverse. Let me pull a card on that and see what that means. Why do the kids see this person as a Lovers in reverse? And then 5 of Cups. Let me see. Why do the kids view this person as a Lovers in reverse? I keep seeing the Tower. I'm getting a message, but I just want to confirm. Yes. The kids think that the karmic isn't the one. The kids think that the karmic isn't the one, and that your person should cut them out of their life to spare them the heartbreak. In order for them to come out of the heartbreak, they think that the karmic is not the one. Oh, bless their little hearts. They know that what they're seeing is not love. Wow. You can't even hide from kids. They know what they're seeing is not love. All right. So join me in the extended. What we're going to do there, we're going to look at what the mom or maternal figure thinks about the karmic. We're going to look at what the best friend thinks about the karmic, and what their social group or in a clique think about the karmic. And then we're going to look at what your person thinks about the karmic. Okay? So join me in the extended. All right, guys. Whoa, 40 minutes. Wow. All right. Take care. Bye.